This 2025 Hyundai Elantra Hybrid is one of the most value for money cars out there. And of course, it faces fierce competition from Toyota Corolla Hybrid and Honda Civic Hybrid. When people say that cheap cars don't exist anymore, I cannot agree with them when we have cars like this. This trim is called luxury in Canada, and it comes with lots of great amenities. And it also comes with the EPA estimate of just 4.7 liters per 100 kilometers, or just around 50 mpg in the US. But actually, I didn't get the estimated or advertised fuel economy during my week with this car, but we're gonna talk about this later in the video. To be honest, this car was overstyled from the very beginning. You can see all of these angles, triangles, which makes this car futuristic, but this generation of Hyundai Elantra has been around for a while now, and I'm not sure if it aged really well. But it doesn't mean that this doesn't look interesting, because if you compare it to the Corolla Hybrid, which I think is a very polarized car with very conservative design, this car at least has some youth built into it. So if you're a younger person, I think you may like some of the design patterns of this car. And of course, looks are subjective. If I would have made my list of cars in this class from most beautiful to least beautiful, I would put the Mazda 3 on top. The second place would go to the Civic Hybrid. The third place would go to this Hyundai Elantra. And the last place would go to the Corolla Hybrid. But overall, I don't think this car looks as bad as some people say, and the Hyundai Elantra N looks awesome. But I think the strongest suit of this car is actually on the inside and on the practicality part of things. So let's discuss practicality. And as always, we'll start with the trunk situation in this car. We have a button right here to open up the trunk. And you've got ample space back here. And I have a 2012 Volkswagen Jetta, and I think it has a bigger trunk than this one. So it's definitely not class leading in this regard. But to be honest, it's enough space for most people to do their daily errands. And again, you don't get any spare tire in this car, only the repair kit, which is unfortunate to be honest, but it is what it is in this day and age. So let's actually examine the rear seat room in the Hyundai Elantra 2025. So I'm 5'8", not a very tall person, and this seat is configured for myself, and I have enough room for my feet and for my knees, as you can see right here. And I don't have a crazy amount of room from the ceiling. You can fit average sized adults here with no problem. Probably fitting 3 adults in the back will be a little bit of a squeeze, but I think you can work with it. And this is an economy car, so I didn't expect any great amenities back here. Just enough room maybe for a drink back here, couple of USB-Cs, which is pretty neat. Only one pocket behind the passenger seat, which is pretty common in this class of car. And you get an armrest with a couple of cup holders. So nothing extraordinary, but pretty much expected from this class of vehicle. But you will probably be more impressed by the front seat, which is where Hyundai spent most of their R&D money. And it's very nice and minimalistic back here. So first of all, let's start the engine. And what you will notice right away is the great number of physical buttons in this interior. And these buttons bring great usability and practicality in this cabin. Because honestly, if you've come from any other car, you'll be able to figure out how everything works right away. Let me connect my Apple CarPlay. In this car, it is wired, not wireless. But honestly, since this car comes with great Bose audio system, which is actually very good, you'll appreciate the wired connection to your CarPlay. I've tried listening some music via Bluetooth and CarPlay to compare, and honestly, when I plug in the USB, it's just 4 times better. And again, you got these generic screens for your gauge cluster and for your infotainment system, but honestly, I don't mind it at all. It works well in this cabin, and it just makes everything very easy to use. If you have watched my previous review of the Hyundai Santa Fe 2025, it still had some physical buttons, but it got rid of this setup for your AC controls. And honestly, it's such a simple design for AC controls, and it works so well. I hope many manufacturers will bring back the physical controls for our AC. You got a physical shifter as well. Here's your drive mode button. Here's your camera button, which is actually pretty decent for this class of car. It's not super high definition, but it gets the job done. And you get those dynamic lines. This is the previous generation of the Hyundai Kia infotainment systems, and it works super well. It's very, very responsive, and Apple CarPlay works effortlessly, especially with the wired connection. Pretty interesting steering wheel. It's not very conventional, but I actually enjoyed these inserts while I was driving this car all week. I honestly find myself more often than I expected to rest my hand right here. The gauge cluster is also informative enough. Hyundai is great at those graphics when you choose your drive mode, and it has some other extra info such as your speed and fuel economy. And honestly, I don't see this button being installed enough in current days for your illumination setting of your gauge cluster and your screen. It is so easy to use and it is so convenient. Why not everyone does this? You also got this interesting design element right here with the handle for the passenger, which actually makes this car look like a cockpit because every single control is faced towards the driver, and this pillar kind of separates you from other passengers in your car. Also interesting design on the doors with your handle back down here. Usually it's somewhere around here, so it took some time to get used to it. Pretty cool and comfortable leatherette seats, which has pretty decent amount of bolstering on the sides and for your thighs. You can spend lots of time in this car without being exhausted. Decent amount of space for your door bins, and a pretty small, to be honest, armrest. You also get a sunroof. And for some reason, in all new Hyundais, I don't find a sunglasses holder, which for me is a deal breaker, to be honest. So I think it's time for us to discuss how this car actually drives. We'll start off in the Eco mode for this drive, and I'll show you all of the other modes throughout the video. One of the main advantages of the hybrid model in the Hyundai Elantra lineup is that you get a multi-link suspension in the back. I think it makes this car more sophisticated, it makes it handle better, and it gives it just a little bit of a better ride as well. The cheapest Elantras come with the torsion beam suspension, which is less sophisticated. It's more simple, so it's easier to maintain in the long run, but it makes the car handle worse than the multi-link. It's an interesting decision from Hyundai to give this car a multi-link rear suspension, because usually the multi-link suspension is popular among the sporty cars. But I guess they gave this car a multi-link suspension just for a better ride and a better luxurious feel when you drive it. But as a result, for a car enthusiast like me, this change makes this car more appealing because it handles better, it just feels better when you are mid-corner, and it just feels more agile. The other interesting part of this hybrid model is that it has 6-speed dual clutch transmission. And let me quickly demonstrate to you. If we go into sport mode, and if I choose a manual mode right here, I can actually drop gears pretty fast. It's not lightning quick, but it's quick enough. Let me show you once again. I'll go into second gear. Now we are in third gear. And you can even use this manual mode in different modes as well, like in smart mode or eco mode. You can still change your gears manually right here. When you see this EV indicator, it means your car is in EV mode. And it's super quiet in this mode and very, very smooth in terms of power delivery. And if we talk about the performance numbers in this car, it's not very quick based on the numbers. It only has 139 horsepower, but it gets 194 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty healthy number for this small car. And all of this torque is available pretty low in the ref range. So you get all the torque pretty much from the get-go, which makes it a great daily driver in the city. To be honest, I think it's very important to review these kind of cars. The cars for the masses. Cars that will be actually used by tens or even hundreds of thousands of people. And I know cars are getting expensive every year, but this car is still pretty affordable with the hybrid powertrain. It gets an estimated 4.7 liters per 100 kilometers, as I said before, but honestly, I only got 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers in my testing. So if I compare this car to the Corolla Hybrid, it definitely feels more futuristic and tech savvy. It's very comfortable as well, just like the Toyota Corolla. You definitely feel some shifts in this car because it's a DCT, obviously, compared to the CVT in the Toyota Corolla Hybrid. But it could be an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time. If you're a person like me who likes having gears in their car, it might be very, very beneficial. The steering in this car, especially in eco mode, is very light and is great for tight parking situations or just driving in the city in general. Thank you, thank you. In sport mode, the steering gets a little bit heavier, especially at higher speeds, which is expected to give it a more sporty feel. The sport mode gives you a much better response from the throttle, and I think it's a pretty interesting idea from Hyundai to bring the DCT transmission in the hybrid models. It is kind of giving this car a dual personality, which is absent in some Toyota or Honda products. And probably, as you noticed, when you're driving in the city, you stay in the traffic, it's very quiet, it's very comfortable. The EV mode is very smooth. It's just a nice place to spend time at. And of course, DCT is probably questionable in terms of the reliability concerns. It has been around for a while, so please look at the reliability ratings for this exact model. I cannot talk too much about the reliability since these cars are brand new, so they might be just as reliable as Corollas or Civics, but nobody knows until the time tells us. I chose this road specifically because of the bad road situation right here. So we're gonna examine how well it does over some bad pavement. It doesn't have the softest suspension in the world, but I think it does a great job by giving you a suspension that feels kind of agile and just a tiny bit sporty, but still very, very comfortable for your daily driving. Yeah, it's decent. It's decent for this price. $33,000 Canadian. I think it's a pretty good deal. We'll throw ourselves in sport mode and I'll show you a little bit of the acceleration of this car. Don't get me wrong, this car is not a pocket rocket. It only gets to 60 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour just in 8.4 seconds, but it's expected for the price and for the fuel economy this car gets. Honestly, if you're a casual driver, you don't need anything faster than 8.4 or like even 9 seconds. It's decently quick enough to get onto the highway, to drive in the city, and to overtake people on the highway as well. So let me show you the acceleration. So yeah, as I said, it's a decent acceleration for this car. The manual mode works pretty well in this car. It's pretty fast to downshift. Decently quick on upshifts. I'll show you once again on this roundabout. We'll go into second. But honestly, it handles pretty well. Surprisingly well for this class of car. Usually, hybrid small cars are not good at handling, but I suspect because this car has a great chassis for the Elantra N, and since this car has a multi-link rear suspension, it handles decently well, honestly. If you spend most of your drives in town and you want a very quiet, comfortable, sometimes sporty, but still decently quick car, it's a great choice. If you want to overtake someone, you drop a couple of gears, and you do it with no problem. And then you go back to the eco mode without looking down because it's a physical button, and you enjoy yourself. In recent years, Hyundai became one of the leading companies, especially among the economy car segment, in terms of their technology for autonomous driving on the highway. So we'll engage the adaptive cruise control by tapping this button on the right side of my steering wheel. We can adjust the distance between the car in front of us by using this button. And we can also engage the lane keep assist. As I said in the video about the Santa Fe, I think this is one of the best adaptive cruise control systems in the entire industry, not just the economy car segment. There's a decent amount of wind noise and tire noise, of course, but for this price, honestly, it's pretty bearable. Again, Hyundai Elantra for me is a great value for money proposition. It doesn't matter how you drive it, aggressively or not, you'll still get over 40 miles per gallon. Such a nice tech with great display. I believe this one is over 10 inches in diameter. And honestly, the Bose audio system in this car is just great. If you'll ever have a chance to test drive this car, just listen to the music. You'll be amazed by the quality of it. Alright, we'll go for the exit. Give these cars a little bit of room. Go into the sport mode. Drop a couple of gears for the corner. Let's throw ourselves into this corner. There's a minimum amount of body roll, honestly. I'm super impressed. Guys, who would have known that this car will handle so well? One other corner, let's see. The gearing is pretty tall, but that's okay. The steering weights up pretty nicely in the corner as well. Not a ton of feedback, but that's okay. It's honestly hard to find things I don't like about this car. Because in the world of very expensive SUVs, cars like this one, bang for the buck, great value for the money you spent, is becoming less and less common, especially in North America. And this fact brings us to the question, who is the right buyer for this car? If you have never had a car before and you're looking for something new, something very, very efficient and somewhat fun to drive, this is a great option. And I think the overall styling of the exterior and the interior of this car appeals to a younger demographic. If you need to occasionally carry 4 people with you, they'll be comfortable back there. Even if you decide to go for a long road trip, because this car is a great highway cruiser, this car is not intimidating at all. Even if you are not a very tech-savvy person, it is very easy to get along with all of the technologies in this car. The infotainment system is pretty easy to use once you get used to it, and you can just plug your phone, whether it's Android or iPhone, it doesn't matter, and you will have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay from the get-go. One of the minor complaints from me is probably the exterior styling, which is not for everyone, but again, this is subjective. Also, for some people, the downside will be the DCT transmission, which could be clunky at slow speeds sometimes. Very rarely, I noticed maybe once or twice during this week, or you are concerned about the reliability aspect of this car, which again, I'm not going to talk about because this is a brand new car. You'll get some road and tire noise, especially on the highway, but nothing intimidating at all. So hopefully you found this review useful, and as always, stay safe out there, keep enjoying the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.